to people who don't know how to put together a sentence. What has happened to the educational system? So we need to have a person who has leadership skills and who's going to bring down those leadership skills to change things down there. And I might tell you that I'm not going to be sitting on a chair being told what to do by a caucus or deciding what to do based upon how I'm going to be reelected. That's not my style. I'm going to do what I think is right for you, for me, my children, your grandchildren, and future generations. That's what I'm going to do. If I get reelected, great. If I don't, I know that I will have done the right thing. And that's what I'm setting out to do. I could win this thing. I could beat Chris Murphy. Chris Murphy was in diapers when I started my business. I have more business experience than Chris Murphy by far. And I will be able to go toe-to-toe with him in getting the message out. Because this is a bit of an expensive game. It's a large district. 41 towns. 39 towns, 2 partial towns. A lot of square miles. You need to buy TV. You need to buy radio. You need to send out mailers. So the person who's going to go toe-to-toe with Chris Murphy has to have the financial wherewithal. I'm blessed to have that wherewithal, and I'm making no excuses about it. I will finance the campaign with donations from people like you. And make no mistake, I raised more money from grassroots people at a quicker pace than anybody else in this race. That's on the record, and it's on www.fec.gov. And I will supplement that to the extent necessary with my own funds to beat Chris Murphy. If I get the nomination, Chris Murphy loses. And that's the way it is. Thank you very much for your attention, and hopefully I can get your endorsement.
Anybody have any questions for Mark? Mark, can you take questions?
Sure. Yeah.
41 towns. Not all of them are like Simsbury. You need to take at least New Britain. How do you take New Britain?
Well,
your message, how do you take that? Just because what Chris Murphy talks about and many of the Democrats talk about with the populist message is we'll take care of you. We'll tax the rich, we'll take care of you. How do you break that? What's your message to break through to that, to the people of the cities like New Britain?
Well, I don't know if we have to win New Britain or win Waterbury, but we have to be very competitive. Historically, if we can be competitive in those cities, and we take towns like Avon, Simsbury, Canton, and other towns, by a 55, 57, 60% margin, we can win. But I have to tell you, my message to people is a message of self-reliance. It's a message of hope, even to people who are in the labor unions, even to people who are still at this point recipients of government programs, net recipients of programs. My message is an American message. Work for yourself. Provide for your family. And I think that message reaches beyond just the Republican Party. I've had a lot of people who have said to me, Democrats and liberals, you run, you have our vote. I know I beat Chris Murphy. I have to make my way through the Republican Party first.
Thank you.
I thank you for the question. Any other questions? Be happy to answer anything.
Dave?
What's your position on term limits for
I have made my position that I'm in favor of term limits. 12 years for the House of Representatives, 12 years for the U.S. Senate. I've also explained that before that I will take no pension, and the perks of the office are of no interest to me. That's a tough one, though, because I believe you need to get a constitutional amendment for term limit. In a way, we have term limits now because you can vote out Chris Murphy. So the electorate is the term limit, but in the system, the money has become very powerful. The PAC money, the union money. So you have to fight fire with regard to that. Anyone else? Yes.
If you lose the primary, or at the convention, leave primary, if you don't get the endorsement at the convention?
I will definitely, well, I have to get 15% of the delegates, or I have to have a write-in campaign. The answer is yes to that. I believe my message is strongest with the people. And frankly, courageous endorsements like those of Mara and Bob are difficult to come by. I'm getting them, but they're a struggle because a lot of the legislators, a lot of the senators, and a lot of the assembly people want to promote their own. I call it the inside game. I'm playing against the inside game. It's a tough road to play against this inside game, but I'm determined, and I will take it to a primary. And I believe at a primary, I win. Yes?
I have a question. I just returned from Washington. I was part of the National School Board Association, school board member here, so we were, in fact, with Chris Murphy yesterday afternoon for about a half an hour on behalf of School Board Association, on behalf of what's going on in Washington. What would you say to me if we were lobbying you? What would be your strategic message to school board members, educators in this country, considering that President Obama has pushed the $1 billion funding for education? What would your message be to us?
Well, my message to, first of all, good question. I think the federal government should not be involved with the education of children at all. First of all, I think it's best done at the local level because local Board of Eds, local governments do a lot better job than state and up the chain as you go.
Actually, in terms of funding, though, what would your message be if we were before you, should you get the nomination to be elected? How would you address a lot of lobbying organizations knowing full well that this is the time where they are in Washington?
Well, I can't answer, I really can't answer that specifically. All I can tell you, I think what you're getting at is how would I be affected by a decision to vote with a group or not, and in terms of the way I would vote, or I will make a decision based upon what's right for the people. I don't owe anything to anybody. I'll look at each issue and make the decision based upon what I think is right. I hate to be vague, but I can't help it being vague in the circumstance right now. Yes?
You talked about excesses of government spending in your early part of your presentation. Where would you feel that we can cut the federal government to make up for the very significant deficit we're facing today?
Well, there needs to be some cuts. As I said, the Department of Education is one that I would cut completely. There are multiple departments that I think should be either consolidated or eliminated. Part of the problem, though, is the tax code is so complex that I think we need an overhaul of the tax code. If we were to bring in more revenues because of a greater simplicity of the code, if tax rates were reduced, which is what JFK did and Ronald Reagan did, which led to 20 years of expansion, I think that we'd bring in more revenues. So we wouldn't have to discuss draconian reductions all at once. Here for the rest of the night. If you want to speak to me one-on-one afterward, you want to have a beer afterward, it's fine. We're here. Thank you very much.
Mark, thank you.